You remember that over the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about the dynamic of Loosh. And in the dynamics of Loosh is that energy of contention that exists within the dynamics of your world. It is that energy that we have often alluded to as the consensus reality, but is in fact and it is the consensus reality, but it is also, as everything else, is got a light within the physical. It has a light shadow side and it has a dark shadow side. And the illusion, the dark shadow side, is if you consider that all energy seems to be intended to be consumed and transformed. And so, if you each understand that you, as individuals, require on a daily basis that you consume something that is living in order for you to continue living, be it a flora or fauna or something that is manufactured. It is still a dynamic of energy that you are taking into your body in order to be able to convert it. And so often when we speak about the dynamic of Loosh, we are talking about a dynamic that is also being consumed by other beings. And and we often get a huge judgment from you all, from presenting this sort of dynamic, like, how dare you eat us? What do you mean we're not at the top of the food chain in this sort of way? But if you're wondering about that dynamic of energy and why that energy seems to feed upon itself, is basically because you are not conscious enough to counter the dynamic on a consistent basis with what's the other side of Loosh?
Love.
Love. And so, that whole dynamic of movement from the densities of the third and fourth dimension to be able to move to that new fifth dimensional experience doesn't require, but would really serve you to be able to understand the dynamic of the energy, not judge it, and realize that you can utilize it for, how about making peace? Because if you look at the dynamic of the reflection of energy in your world right now, and that will include everything from politics to finances to survival, to anything else that you can name, there is a dynamic of at least a dichotomy of energy. There's at least two energies directly opposed to each other, and sometimes there is a multiplicity of energies that are also involved in that dynamic of movement, because that's what this is. This is a dynamic of movement. And so right now things are becoming really apparent, and you can see energetically the dynamic. You need to be able to, again, objectively step back from it in order to really be able to see it. But there is a whole dynamic of an opportunity for chaos. And that dynamic of that chaos is being exacerbated by other energies, is being almost brought up to a fever pitch. If you look at the dynamics that have happened in history, there has been this buildup of energy until a dynamic of what is feared, because fear drives Loosh, what is feared begins to manifest. right? And that's where, look at what the dynamic that you're all, especially in America, are facing right now. There is that dynamic of that chaos. There is that dynamic of that conflict. There is that dynamic of that separation. Where did your belief that you are all divine beings in manifested in physical bodies go? How can you hold that dynamic of that belief and still believe that your neighbor, even though he likes this politician, is somehow less than human? How can you really make those sorts of divisions and still consider yourself spiritual and still consider that you have a connection with all that is? Because all that is also includes all of those individuals that you have directed your animosity to, and also that you have allowed their dynamics of animosity to be connected with you. You were either playing in those realms or you're not.